This is a quick introduction to finding literary criticism resources at Gavilan College. Today we're going to be looking at three main kinds of sources: eBooks, the Gale Literature Database, and using the open web. To get to our ebook collection, you can access ebooks through OneSearch, but I'm going to recommend today that since we know what we're looking for, we go right to that source and we go to Find Resources and select eBooks here in that drop-down menu at the top of the page. When you do that, you get the ebook interface, and it makes browsing through that collection much easier. So I'm going to type in the name of the author, not Allen, but Edgar Allan, and I am going to just hit enter. So there's 202 books that come up when I type in that name, and there are ways that you can narrow that, but 202 is not a huge number. It sounds like a lot, but it's not really that many when you're browsing through. What I love about the ebook collection is if you see a title that looks sort of interesting, you can read that description, and if that doesn't tell you enough, you can just click on the table of contents, and it opens chapter titles for you, so you can know if you're on track or not, if there's something in one of these books, by just opening the table of contents. So I'm going to scroll and see if I can find an example of something that might be useful in my own, if I were doing this project. So that rhetoric and style might be useful. I don't even know what phenomenological means, so I'm going to skip that one. I might look at the table of contents because I'm curious about what that means, and I'm not liking that right now. I'm just thinking about this, this is a quick skim. So, all right. So I know Harold Bloom. I know he does a lot of literary criticism, so I'm interested in this. The title's not very descriptive, but I still want to look at this. So I'm going to open the table of contents, and I'm going to let that load. All right, and it just gives me his name. If there's a plus next to the title in a table of contents, you can click on the plus, and it'll open subchapters. So I'm going to do that, and I can see that there are both critical views and thematic analyses of these different, looks like mostly poems. So I'm going to start with a thematic analysis of The Raven, and I get this kind of thematic analysis, as it says, and this is by a pretty well-known critic, Harold Bloom, and it looks pretty short. So I think maybe I'm going to take that because that might help me as an introductory kind of analysis to that text. So I like that. So I'm going to not save that. I'm going to email it to myself. If I click on Save the Pages, it downloads it to my device, but I don't get the citation for it. But if I email it, it emails me the citation. So I say, give me this page. I can do this page and the next 10 pages or 4 pages or whatever, or I can say, give me this section. I'm always a little bit suspicious of whether I'm going to get the right pages when I do that, so I tend to start at the beginning of the section that I want to email to myself and count how many pages I want. So in this case, I'm going to say, give me that page and the next 10. Put in a subject that reminds you of what you're sending yourself. And then under citation format, be sure to check MLA. Email that to yourself. The chapter comes as a PDF, and the citation comes in the body of your email. So I recommend ebooks generally. I want to give you one more suggestion about getting into these. When I was playing around with Edgar Allan Poe, see how one of the subjects is literary criticism? So sometimes it's helpful to add that to your original search and put it in quotes. It gives you a different set of results that I think it might be more useful. This says it didn't yield any results, but it gave you a keyword search. So it's looking through actually more content. And when I did my search this way, I liked the search results that I got better. And there's one in particular that I would want to recommend. I like this one, but there's a series called In Context that is really quite good. And if you look at the table of contents, it gives you different contexts for literary criticism. So I really liked that. I think this is quite a good collection. You can see that you have different lenses for literary criticism all gathered in this one book. So if you can find something like that for your research, I really think that's a useful one. But you can try narrowing your search by adding literary criticism. I think you can try it either way. You can also try searching by the title of a work, but in the ebook collection, that's not quite as easy to do. All right, so that is searching our ebook collection. And I would see if there's anything in there, because if there is, I think it tends to be really high quality and on target for what the kind of research that we do at Gavilan. Be sure to visit part 2 of this video series for instructions about how to use the Gale literature databases and the open web for searching for literary criticism.